It's a different style than I usually do because there's something that I want to try. And we are coming back to the old style, which is we record and then we're going to post. And you will see me a lot less with the live stream. And I feel like we are going to try this for a couple of times until I know how to balance between this different style of doing this project. So, welcome. I have something to say because I just noticed a really different, it's not a bad habit, but I essentially do it since I built that narrative, which is I have been psychic my whole life. Like I'm so deep within that realm that I just so tune in and I don't like to be so far apart from society. So at one point in my life, I stopped tuning into that reality. And to do that, I built this concept of let's have a two separate identity. One which is the human part of me, and then one which is like someone that was really connected to the reality where that knowing exists. So I separated myself in that way. That happened really weirdly because I don't like that part of me who knows everything because it took a part of the curiosity that I have within me and other people because I just know there is no there is no concept of time, there's no concept of action. I just like you are this person, you are this type and this type, and I fall into that trap of knowing too much without intending to know. And I separated that part of myself and I have these two different idea of who I truly am and who I am in an essence. So then I wait a minute, something happened. And then I go on in my life to build the sense of human connection. And I was so detached from the psychic part of me. And I go on and off in here. Sometimes I tune back into the psychicness and I can like right now I can like whenever I need it, I can like tune in to that psychic part and I know things without knowing, without asking. But then and I build a sense of tuning in like a channel. And I channel that part of myself, whatever I needed. And now that I build a sense of human connection between me and other people and with the collective and society itself, I now have a really strong identity of what is me as a human. And that experiment has done me really incredibly beneficial for myself. But then I have this unintentional separation whenever I want to do my work, my mission. And now that I coming back to everything, I am going back to the time when I'm not separated. I'm not separating myself. So now one of the distraction that I did, which is a really bad habit, is talking to myself. At the beginning of how I separated my two core of identity, I start to disassociate my knowing by focalizing it humanly. Like, so I speak a lot to myself, and that knowing has space. But then, because I am in this time of work, this time of mission, I need to start reintegrating that So now I am deliberately discarding the part of me who needs to talk to myself. So I'm like coming back fully, and I don't need this bad habit to continually express the psychicness of myself by talking when no one is watching. So I'm deleting, this is a weird word to say in our inner work journey, is that I'm deleting the need to talk whenever no one's here. But if it's like this, like I'm talking to a camera and there's no one else in front of me, but because I need to talk, I need to share this, and you will watch it later down the road, and I need to be able to speak, and I can do that now. So that's a really positive point from this project. And I will, from now on, the promise is like this: I will never talk to myself whenever there is no one else besides me. If there is an instinct, if there is a insight, if there is a download that is happening because of my psychicness, I will contain it, I will listen to it by myself, and I don't need to vocalize it, whatever that is. Now, sometimes when you are cutting a bad habit, ending a bad habit, they are people who need steps. Like they are taking things slow, they're um, understanding what is the intention, how to do it, and all that stuff. I have done so many experiments, so many cutting cords, that I found that I am best at changing my life with doing it coldly. So, like all at once, all in or not at all. So, my way is that when, so this is a past project that I did, which is like I have the intention to quit eating sweet. And I have trial and error before. And that's how I find that I am actually an all in person. Is that I, at one point, have a really solid intention. I know what I got. I know what I want. I know how I want to do it. I know what way is actually beneficial. Why I need to do it this way and this way, and I have that summing up into a frequency that eventually it lead me into like all in. Just don't eat sweets at all. Like I'm cold turkey on that, and that lead me in really hard time at first. As we all know, when you are just cutting cord and not doing anything to step by step, you are going to face a really strong backlash from your own system because they are craving it. That craving is something that is can't, what do you call it? You can't cover it. You cannot run away from it. At some point that thing will happen. Like I have the need to actually talk to myself really loudly, and because the things that I want to say and all that stuff. And we can to have a channel like this, talking to a camera or writing something or just listening to what the chatter in your head is about. But I would not do it. I would not write. I would not listen. I would just like go in my life. So I am building something else. Now, that is one of the way why I found out I am an all-in person. Now, it's very different for people out there. Sometimes they need some trial and error to just find what is their go-to way whenever they want to change something. And I want you, whoever listened to this, to find that way, because sometimes you cannot go all in. And I have some of the things that I did in the past that is not all in, which is great, which is how I started my business. I started because I knew at one point I cannot go all in because I have a system that's still projecting burnout. So I take my time. I take my time to build my business, and I take it slowly and surely. And now I'm in a place where eventually I'm like, I can go all in now. But then the backlash, the relapse will happen eventually. But at that time, you need to know how you will fight whatever negative experience you have at the time. We will talk about that later. If you want me to talk about it about that, let me know in a comment. But here the thing is that you have something that you want, and you are building every reason that is you building a list that sustain that momentum. Now I have a very solid foundation why I want to stop talking to myself. And it's to combining all the energy that I have so that I'm not scattered. So I don't spend too much energy on something else. Now, talking to myself and having a me time is not the same thing. I think people misunderstood of talking to yourself as somewhat your way of your way of self-care, maintaining yourself, but it's not. I have a very solid experience where I literally separated that part of myself. So coming back to it is essential. So coming back to not not having this type of system where I'm separating myself is essentially important to never talk to myself. So yeah, that is why I am ending the cycle of talking to myself. So I don't know what is your bad habit, but if you want to actually go all in and not having yourself to relapse, continuously relapse, is actually build a solid why you want to have this thing going on. You want to cut the cord. And at one point, you need to find the why in such a solid way that when you like have someone say something about it, you would not waver. How do you not waver in your solid foundation? Is actually having your why from yourself, having your why because something is wrong with you and you want to get into the future, and that future don't have this part of you, so you just cut it. If I want to say something else, if I want to add something else around this, is the part where building your intention sometimes will take time. And at one point, you have the idea. At one point, you find the most irk, the most like ick way, like I can't have this anymore. Like if you have that one moment, you have that one catalyst in your life, and you start to internalizing, if you start to integrating that ick, then you find your way to what is the way to not have it anymore. So that would probably like the best tips I can give you around building an intention. Like what is your ick about something that you want to get over with? Because if you notice that intrinsically, like you just like, oh, I actually have this going on, it's really bad, and I don't want this to influence, to impact, to have a consequences in this type of situation, then you have a solid why. But you need to own it. So this is like the part where sometimes you go cold turkey on something and you don't own it because someone else said, "Oh, it's better this way." Now that is that person reason. That is that person's why. It was not you. So what is yours? That is really important for you to have never waver intention. And also why I decided to quit self talk, talking to myself. Self talk and talking to myself is some kind of similar, but when I say it in the self talk, it's more of like having myself to integrate, to internalize whatever is happening within my world. So it doesn't come in the same concept as talking to myself. But when I'm talking to myself, there is an agitation. So this is me feeling whatever is happening in my system whenever I talk to myself. There is an agitation that I did whenever I talk to myself. And that agitation lead me into distraction, lead me into procrastination, lead me into um, stubbornness, insistence, because I'm like, well, it must be this way. It must be this way. So I become cocky. I become resentful. I become ignorance about my own way. And that's how I find a really personalized why. Someone out there might say, oh, you actually do this whenever this happened. Why? And then you feel ashamed. Probably a good thing to look into yourself and notice, like, is this something you want to change? Not just because someone out there say like you need to change this. Sometimes it was part of the system that you did a really weird thing and you don't need to change that because you want that to happen in the first place. But if you find yourself really questioning and it's becoming a really excessive habit out of your need, it's probably good to cut it all out. I cut sweet. I cut being anxious in a public space. I cut feeling like I am an alien. I cut not expressing myself better. I cut many things. And why I'm always successful in my own challenge is that because I find my own why. Now you have your own why specifically for you, and you can find that from your ick. You can find that from whatever is your triggers, details, feelings, sensation, physical, emotional, spiritual sensation that you know, like, this is not something that I want to happen. I want to experience from now on. So, yeah, that is my biggest tips. I hope this has got you something. And if you have any question, just drop in the comment. I will answer in my best way because we don't have any live session in the chat. So yeah. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.